Roy Smith is our corn and soybean market analyst this week. The USDA's latest progress report rates the U.S. corn crop identical to a week ago, including 3/4 of the crop in good to excellent categories. The country's soybean crop slipped slightly from the previous ratings. 70% is now good to excellent, 2 points less than last week. Markets started the first full week of July violently Tuesday as soybean futures lost more than 5%. Both commodities continued their slide Wednesday before heading in different directions as of this taping on Thursday. We talked with Roy Thursday afternoon and started by asking about market price movements over the past few days.
It's been a bad week. That's about as simple as I can make it. We passed the drop dead date that I've talked about before on here. We passed the seasonal trend change from long to short, and I've talked about that on here before, and so now where we're at is trying to make the best of a bad situation, and that's going to be tough to do with the rain that we got last night here again in dry eastern Nebraska. It's just, I guess you can say you may be looking for some kind of a storm or something like that, but there's nothing on the horizon that tells us that that's coming.
What things were all behind this week, and specifically in soybeans where we saw some really graphic movement?
Well, more than anything else, huge positions on the long side from the big speculators, and probably the small ones too. You know, I'm sure there were farmers that sold their beans in April and bought back futures or bought back call options. And if that was the case, which I'm sure it was, why, they got caught on the wrong side also. They were playing a big boys game and probably lost at it. So we've got all of those things that come into play, and not the least of which is a huge supply of soybeans available to the trade, you know, whenever they want them.
What does the seasonal chart show as far as where we could go from here?
Well, the long-term seasonal chart, first of all, it showed that it was time to get out of the long positions, either cash or futures, about 10 days ago. And the timing was excellent on that. If everybody did it, why, there's not too many people that are unhappy. What the charts show then from now on is that there's probably going to be a washout or a sell-off in the cash beans and the futures as the market tries to figure out, you know, just exactly how many beans are out there. We already know how many acres were planted, so that's not a risk factor anymore. And so what we're looking for is some kind of a 50% retracement, or under today's conditions, probably less than 50%. Back up, a bounce, dead cat bounce if you want to call it that, but at least a technical bounce that retraces some of what we lost. And when that happens, and when you see a day when beans are 25 or 50 cents higher, you want to sell something.
What are your expectations in corn?
Corn didn't go up nearly as bad or as much as beans did, but it hasn't gone down as much either. Now we had a little helping hand from the Brazilian government saying, well, we really don't have a big corn crop coming after all. And Wednesday of this week, the trade was trading on the fact that, and I use the term loosely, trading on the idea that Brazil is short on corn, and they don't have nearly as much to sell as in a lot of years, and so that may be the one thing, plus purchases by China and Mexico. They, notwithstanding what the market's done, other markets have done, they just keep buying those beans, and of course that's what we want, and that was part of what was behind the rally we had in the spring.
What are the dates ahead to keep in mind? And I assume one of those is something around the September crop report.
September crop report, one of my rules is make a sale the day before the September crop report. That's not necessarily a fundamental supply and demand situation, but it is a kind of a rule of thumb that I have. that the market trades down going into the trades up going into the September crop report. When the report comes out, they find that it's not as bullish as they thought, and then the market kind of falls apart again. And between now and the 1st of September, we normally have up and down once and then up and down the second time, and the second time it stays down through harvest. So those are things to watch for. If you didn't get any beans sold, you maybe want to put a mark on your calendar and say, I'm going to sell something when we see this.